Your boy don't know how to fight. Neither do that T.I. little yellow motherfucker.
You ever see a situation that feels like it was destined to explode? Like two asteroids on a crash course and everyone online just sitting there with popcorn? Yeah, that's Boosie versus Charleston White. This isn't your typical rap beef. This is a full-blown internet soap opera where every episode drops live on Instagram. Charleston's entire brand is chaos. He wakes up, chooses violence, and logs in. His morning coffee, pure controversy. His alarm clock, a new person to offend. And when he decided to take aim at Boosie, oh, that was the moment the internet collectively said, this gon' end badly. Because Charleston doesn't just talk reckless, he weaponizes disrespect. That's his hustle. Stir the pot, go viral, repeat. But Boosie, he's not built for internet games. This man's DNA is 100% say less, do more. He survived beefs, bans, and backstabs, and still walked out loud. So when Charleston threw that first jab, fans already knew this wasn't going to be one of those talk it out on live kind of situations. This was energy colliding, street code versus internet troll logic. And when those two worlds meet, somebody's getting cooked. But hold on, because that's not even the wild part. The moment Charleston crossed a certain line, everything changed. You're not ready for this next part.
I ain't really got no opinion on him because, my opinion can send me to prison.
Charleston White doesn't beef, he broadcasts. The man literally runs on outrage like it's premium gas. His whole playbook is pick a name, talk wild, and let the algorithm do the rest. And let's be real, it works. Every insult he throws becomes a headline, every feud turns into a meme. But when he said Boosie's name, oh, that's when things went from funny internet drama to, bro, delete that live before someone gets hurt. Because Boosie isn't your average rapper you control for clout. He's old school Louisiana energy, loyalty, respect, and pride tattooed on his soul. This man's seen it all. Industry snakes, fake friends, lawsuits, even death threats. And through all that, one thing's always been off limits: his family. You can joke about his music, clown his interviews, maybe even question his takes. But mention his kids? Nah. That's where the internet fun ends and real life begins. Charleston thought he was stirring content. What he really stirred was trouble. Because when Boosie feels disrespected, that's not just words, that's history, pain, and legacy, standing behind every syllable. And what Charleston didn't realize? You can only poke a lion so many times before it stops roaring and starts lunging. But Charleston, he doesn't stop. He never stops. And when he decided to drag Boosie's son into this circus, that's when the internet turned into a war zone. You're gonna want to see what happened next.
Why they talk to him? Why do Boosie get all the love? As if he the killer. Mm-hmm. And Boosie ain't no mother killer. You can slap Boosie and that don't do nothing. Mm-hmm. You can slap little Boosie, that don't do nothing. Lil Marlo was the killer. Lil Boosie ain't had a fight with nobody. That you punch him in the nose, that bleed to death because he a diabetic. You can't give him no black eye. He'll die. He'll diabetic.
See, this is where the story stops being entertaining and starts feeling personal. Charleston White pulled the oldest internet trick in the book. Make fun of a rapper's career, call them irrelevant, act like it's just jokes. But Charleston's version of just jokes is like playing dodgeball with grenades. He poked at Boosie's music, threw shade at his legacy, called him washed up like he wasn't one of the few rappers to outlast multiple eras. The internet laughed because, let's be honest, Charleston's delivery is half comedy, half chaos. But then, he said Tutti's name. That's when all the laughing stopped. Because you don't talk about Boosie's son, period. It's like the internet suddenly sobered up mid-scroll. The comments went from face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy, to nah, he trippin' FR. Even the troll pages were like, this ain't funny no more. Because bringing a kid into grown man business, that's not trolling. That's crossing the line written in blood. The culture froze for a second. TikTok clips blew up. Twitter went into meltdown mode. You had people on one side saying, Charleston's just keeping it real, and others shouting, you can't play with another man's child like that. And here's the crazy part. Charleston knew exactly what he was doing. He doesn't miss by accident. He looks for that one nerve that makes the entire internet combust. And Tutti Raw's name was it. That's when the vibe shifted from viral drama to real-life tension. Boosie wasn't laughing, fans weren't laughing, and everyone watching knew It was only a matter of time before the silence broke. But before that happened, Charleston did something even worse. He started bragging about it, and that's when all hell started to brew.
I don't know how to fight. Neither do that T.I. little yellow motherfucker, long hair freak. That little don't know how to fight either. Get them, y'all babies is rapper babies.
The jail, they're gonna be for something. It's gonna be for something. I don't play no police game, man. Just know as you move around, man, life is real, bro. This shit ain't no motherfucking joke. This shit ain't no motherfucking game. Just don't play with me and don't play with mine. Leave my motherfucking children out your motherfucking face, boy.
The second Charleston bragged about getting Tutti locked up, the internet didn't just react, it detonated. This wasn't clowning anymore. This was a man weaponizing the system for clout. Like, imagine being so addicted to attention that you start calling the cops for content. The man literally flexed about trying to get a teenager caught up in legal drama, all while laughing about it on live like it was a prank video. Fans were stunned. Some were like, "Bro, this can't be real." Others said, "Nah, he's crossed into dangerous territory." Because when you start threatening people's freedom, especially someone's kid, that's not content. That's a whole other level of reckless. And Boosie, you could feel his silence like thunder before a storm. He didn't jump online yelling. He didn't start clapping back with memes. He just waited. And everyone knew what that meant. Because when Boosie's quiet, that's when you should really be scared. The man literally said, "My opinion can send me to prison." Let that sink in. That's not a tweet. That's a warning label. He knew Charleston wanted a reaction. He knew the whole internet was watching, waiting for him to snap. But Boosie's patience wasn't weakness. It was strategy. Meanwhile, Charleston kept talking, doubling down every time. He was like, "Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I'll say it again." He wanted the chaos, the clicks, the hashtags, the headlines. But what he didn't expect, that calm before the storm, was Boosie's version of a red light. Once that man starts speaking, you better buckle up. Because what came next wasn't just words. It was a warning heard around the culture. And if you thought Charleston's trolling was wild, wait till you see how Boosie responded. You're not ready for this one.
So one dude said he's the one who got your son arrested. How do you feel about stuff like that?
Who got my son arrested?
You said Charleston White went on the record.
I don't know, man. I don't fuck with Charleston White. That nigga, they'll Prussian. I ain't fucking with y'all. I'm keeping that nigga name out my mouth. That's a threat to my success.
Yeah.
Charleston White, he ain't hiding. Charleston White gonna get your ass locked up.
Yeah.
So, shit, I've been ducking that smoke with Charleston.
That's the only smoke I ever heard Boosie say he ducking.
That's some smoke you don't want, man. I ain't trying to have no man calling no DAs on and all this on me. That's real shit.
Yeah.
It's real fake shit.
People got to realize, right? You look at our community, I don't understand why people make threats online.
Charleston just couldn't help himself. The man was basically speed-running a cancellation arc. Every live, every interview, every rant, he brought up Tutti again and again, like he was trying to summon a lawsuit. It was like watching someone poke a beehive while the internet yelled, "Bro, stop, just stop." Each jab got worse, louder, dirtier, more personal. The drama energy was boiling like a shaken soda can. One more hit, and it was gonna explode. And then it happened. Boosie finally appeared on camera, but not how anyone expected. No yelling, no shade throwing, no "let's take it to the streets" talk. Just that calm, heavy silence that says, "You've done too much." He stared into the camera like he was talking directly to Charleston's soul and said, "Don't ever come for my kids. Don't drag my family into your circus." That moment, internet history. The calmness made it scarier than any threat. It was the kind of quiet that says, "I'm not arguing. I'm warning you." Fans went nuts, tweets flying in every direction. TikTok edits of Boosie's face with thunder effects. Reddit threads titled, "Boosie just went DADMODE." People were split. Half the internet cheered. "That's how a real father moves." The other half said, "He's about to risk everything over a troll." But no matter what side they picked, everyone agreed. This wasn't trolling anymore. Charleston had poked too deep, too often, and now Boosie's patience had officially expired. It wasn't about clout. It wasn't even about rap beef. This was family. And if you think Boosie's energy was intense, wait till you see who else stepped into the ring next. Because this drama didn't stay a one-on-one for long. You're about to witness the crossover nobody saw
I
coming.
ain't really got no opinion on him, because, my opinion can send me to prison. Well, I ain't really, I ain't really got no opinion. Once you go to threaten people's kids, talking about you, I ain't the one gonna do all that. Certain people, you can't really express opinion.
And shady Twitter account was breaking down the Boosie verses. Charleston's saga like it was the Super Bowl of beefs. It wasn't just fans anymore, it was everybody. You had rappers like, man, Boosie did what any real one would do. Then podcasters were like, nah, Charleston's just exposing fake loyalty. Even random lifestyle influencers, people who usually post skincare routines, were hopping on live saying, this man Charleston is wildin', bro. The chaos was cinematic. TikTok was split right down the middle. One side had hashtag Team Boosie edits with slow-motion clips and emotional Drake instrumentals, while the other side pushed hashtag Charleston Truth, like he was the misunderstood anti-hero of the internet. Twitter? Oh, Twitter was unhinged. One person tweeted, Charleston White got more beef than a Texas BBQ. Another replied, he gon' mess around and get smoked over a podcast take. And somewhere in between, you had people asking the real question. When did trolling become a career path? Because here's the thing, Charleston wasn't just talking crazy. He was monetizing the chaos. Every clip, every rant, every argument turned into viral content. He was cashing in on conflict while everyone else was emotionally reacting. But that's where the lines blurred. Was Charleston speaking truth about a toxic culture, or was he just exploiting pain for profit? And that question, right there, is what started pulling even more big names into the crossfire. People who weren't even part of the beef felt like they had to pick a side. But the next celebrity to enter? Let's just say their involvement made the internet completely explode. Because when this person spoke, everyone stopped scrolling. And you're not ready for that twist.
Boosie feels pretty good. He feels like the judge is...
He don't feel good. You see how low his energy is.
I mean, well, he says this judge seems pretty cool.
Man, he just saying that to kiss ass because they watch it. I used to say the same shit, and the judge kept revoking my bond. That nigga bit the pillar in an interview. And have you ever seen a gangster in the interview, nigga? That nigga under pressure and stress. Come on, not play. He facing 15. Homie, don't you know he got a turd in his ass? Because those 5 murders is part of relevant conduct that goes into the PSI. Even though he beat it, they still bring it up as an arrest. Boosie record don't put him on a cakewalk, y'all. He going where he got to really be in danger and in fear, no matter who he is.
The moment Kodak Black entered the chat, everything flipped upside down. You could feel the internet's collective gasp, because if there's one thing we know about Kodak, it's that he doesn't do quiet opinions. He crashes conversations like a hurricane. Out of nowhere, he hopped on Instagram Live, sipping something that looked suspiciously expensive, and just started talking. No filter, no warning, just pure Kodak energy. Charleston out here clout chasing, bro, he said. Ain't no way you talking about somebody's kid like that. Boom. Just like that, Charleston had a brand new enemy, and not just any enemy. A chart-topping, meme-generating, headline-making rapper who thrives on chaos. Twitter timelines started burning. Not Kodak versus. Charleston, this year's been wild. Why 2025 feel like a rap Royal Rumble? Every time I refresh my feed, another celebrity joins the war. It was like a crossover episode nobody asked for, but everyone was watching. Even fan pages started dropping WWE-style posters. Boosie x Kodak versus Charleston White, the final showdown. But underneath the memes, something deeper was happening. Kodak didn't just defend Boosie. He called out Charleston's entire playbook. He said, "You don't speak truth, you just stir pain and profit from it." That line hit the internet like a lyrical uppercut, because suddenly, people started realizing Charleston's whole act might be more manipulation than message. Reddit threads lit up overnight. Is Charleston White just a master troll or actually dangerous? Dudes talking about community 1 minute and destroying it the next. Bro preaching accountability, but can't even log off. And for the first time, it seemed like the internet wasn't laughing with Charleston. They were laughing at him. But you know Charleston. He wasn't going to take that lying down. Because if there's one thing this man knows how to do, it's turn beef into business. And what he did next? It made even his haters pause. You're going to want to hear this next part, because Charleston's comeback move might be his most chaotic yet.
Slap Kanye West, that's where we wrong at, homie.
Yeah.
Why slap him for what, nigga? When you had a 15-year-old hitman, nigga, that murdered black people. The little kid got life without parole. Why would he slap Kanye West, a man with biracial white children, embracing the concept and the notion that black and white lives?
You'd think, after getting tag-teamed by Boosie and Kodak, Charleston might take a little social media vacation, right? Maybe meditate, touch some grass, reflect on his choices? Nah. This man woke up and chose violence and Wi-Fi. Within hours, Charleston went live again, cackling, holding his phone like it was a weapon. He said, "They all fake. Boosie fake. Kodak fake. They only real when it helps their brand." And then he started dropping receipts. Old interviews, messy tweets, outdated screenshots. He had it all loaded up like digital ammo. The man was basically doing an influencer expose speedrun. He dragged Boosie's old controversies, brought up Kodak's legal battles, and framed the whole thing like he was the truth teller and everyone else was just pretending. The internet went feral. Some people were like, wait, he kinda got a point though. Others were like, bro, this is unhinged even for him. TikTok was flooded with split-screen reactions, people gasping, laughing, stitching the clips with "ain't no way" captions. And that's Charleston's power. He turns chaos into conversation. Every scandal becomes a stage, every enemy becomes a co-star. He's not cancel-proof, he's attention-proof. But here's where the plot thickens. While Charleston was busy burning bridges, Boosie and Kodak were quietly linking up. Yep, the two men he accused of being fake, they were suddenly spotted together, laughing, dapping each other up, and very much not mentioning Charleston's name. The internet immediately went into detective mode. Wait, are they plotting something? Is this a music collab or a diss track? Bro, if Boosie and Kodak drop a song about Charleston White, the internet might implode. Because let's be honest, when rappers stop arguing online and start heading to the studio, you know someone's about to get dissed in 4K. But what Charleston did next flipped the entire narrative again. Because this time, it wasn't just about clout, it was about survival. And you're not gonna believe who came to his defense.
Y'all will bury that yellow motherfucker. I shoot him right in his goddamn throat. Look, I wish an 18, 19-year-old nigga would jump on me. Boy, I Trayvon Martin, that little motherfucker. I swear to God.
So why you was a bitch, boy? Man, we was about to whoop your ass when you come back down here from telling. I can see you had a soft upper.
Jail, they gonna be for something. It's gonna be for something.
And just when everyone thought Charleston White was finished, like career flatlined, reputation 6 feet under, he did what only true internet villains know how to do. He flipped the script. Out of nowhere, people started defending him. But not just anyone. We're talking podcast hosts known for saying the wildest things on air, a few old school rappers with no filter energy, and those YouTubers who live for controversy. They were like, Charleston's just telling the truth y'all don't want to hear. It was like watching the internet turn into a courtroom, and suddenly Charleston had lawyers he didn't even hire. Some said he was calling out hypocrisy. Others said he was giving uncomfortable truth. And a small corner of the internet, because there always is one, decided he was some kind of misunderstood philosopher. Bruh, a philosopher. This man who literally just tried to get a teenager locked up is now being treated like a modern-day Socrates. But that's the internet for you. One day, you're canceled. The next day, you're trending with hashtag respect Charleston White. Because controversy online doesn't kill careers anymore. It feeds them. The algorithm doesn't care if people love you or hate you, as long as they're watching. And Charleston? He's mastered that game like it's chess, and everyone else is still playing Uno. He knew exactly when to go live, exactly what to say, and exactly how to make people argue for him without lifting a finger. Meanwhile, Boosie and Kodak kept it quiet, too quiet, which only made fans hungrier. Comments were like, bro, they cooking something. Watch them drop a diss track at midnight. Charleston better log off for his own safety. Then, like the internet was holding its breath, Boosie finally broke his silence again. But this time, it wasn't just a warning, it was a promise. He said, "If you keep talking about my family, I'm done talking." No filter, no captions, just that one line. The room went quiet, the internet froze, and for once, even Charleston had no comeback. Because this wasn't about views anymore. It was about respect, and the cost of crossing a line you can't uncross. The internet thrives on chaos, but sometimes that chaos crosses into something real. When Charleston White started running his mouth, he didn't just spark another social media beef. He lit a match that exposed how deep family, pride, and legacy run in hip-hop. For a man like Boosie, that kind of disrespect doesn't just slide by. You can joke about fame, clown careers, throw shade about old hits, but once you mention his son, that's when it stops being entertainment and turns into something personal. Charleston had made a name for himself off being loud, unfiltered, and untouchable. He said the things others were too scared to say, turned outrage into views, and built an entire persona around stirring the pot. But in this game, you can't keep throwing fire without expecting smoke to come back your way. And this time, it wasn't just Boosie he was taunting. It was his blood, his pride, his son, Tutti Raw. That's the kind of line you don't cross unless you're ready for what comes after. At first, Boosie didn't take the bait. He stayed quiet, watching Charleston clown around online, letting him dig his own hole. But the internet never lets things rest. Every new clip, every live stream, every soundbite where Charleston laughed about getting Tutti locked up started going viral. He called it jokes, but everyone could see the intent behind the grin. He wasn't joking, he was looking for a reaction, and Boosie finally gave him one, not through yelling or threats, but through calm authority that hit harder than any diss track ever could. When Boosie looked straight into that camera and told Charleston to keep his family's name out of his mouth, it wasn't just another clip, it was a warning. You could feel it. The room changed. It was the kind of statement that carried weight, the kind that comes from a man who's seen too much, lived too much, and knows exactly what crossing that line means. That moment became the heartbeat of the story. Not rage, not violence, but raw fatherhood. Still, Charleston didn't slow down. He thrived on attention, and every reaction only fed the machine. He started linking Boosie's name to every topic that trended, even when it had nothing to do with him. He dragged Kanye West into it, then twisted Boosie's response to the White Lives Matter controversy into another excuse to throw shots. The same pattern every time. Pick a target, hit a nerve, go viral. But this time, he found himself in the crosshairs of something bigger than clout. Because while Charleston laughed, Boosie wasn't laughing anymore. He'd made his stance clear. Family is off limits. And when you talk about a man's child, you're not playing the internet anymore. You're playing with his legacy. It wasn't long before T.I got pulled into the fire too, when Charleston started going after King Harris. That's when the entire dynamic shifted. What started as jokes turned into generational tension. Fathers and sons standing together while a man with a phone tried to tear them down for views. King Harris wasn't quiet about it either. He got on Instagram Live, young, emotional, fiery, defending himself, defending his father, and refusing to let a grown man clown him without response. The internet loved it. Every second of that live replayed across TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube, dissected frame by frame like it was a boxing match. Some said King was reckless, giving Charleston exactly what he wanted. Others called it bravery, the son of a legend standing on his own name. T.I stepped in like any father would. He wasn't about to let Charleston turn his family into clickbait. His message was simple, real, and loud. Keep my son's name out your mouth. And that's where the real weight of this entire story came from. Two fathers from the same culture, both standing tall for their children, both dealing with a man who thought words were harmless. Charleston kept brushing it off, waving it like it was all content, saying rappers couldn't touch him because he'd call the cops if they tried. That's what made him feel untouchable. He hid behind the law, using it as armor, while throwing stones from behind a screen. But the deeper he pushed, the more people began to realize how far gone this situation had gone. What used to be funny started to feel wrong. The energy around Charleston's antics shifted. People weren't laughing anymore. Even his followers started to question it. Because there's a difference between internet trolling and disrespecting people's families. In hip-hop, there's a code, an unspoken rule that's older than the industry itself. Family is sacred. That's not for jokes. That's not for content. Charleston didn't understand that rule. Or maybe he did, and just didn't care. Because every time he hit go live, it was like he was daring fate to test him. He called out rappers, mocked their kids, and acted like he couldn't be touched. But what he didn't realize was that men like Boosie and T.I don't play internet games. They come from places where words can turn into something real, fast. Fans started to feel that shift too. Comment sections went from laughing emojis to warning messages. People were saying, "Charleston's gonna push the wrong one," or "This won't end well." The tone of the culture changed from amusement to anticipation, not because anyone wanted to see violence, but because everyone could sense that the energy was real. Behind the scenes, Boosie's calm started to look more like focus. He wasn't reacting emotionally. He was protecting something bigger: his son's name, his family's honor, his own peace. When you've built everything from the ground up, you don't let someone with a camera try to tear it down for content. You protect it, quietly, firmly, and with purpose. At the same time, T.I.'s household was mirroring the same sentiment. King had gone from a viral clip to a symbol, a young man standing up for himself in a world that loves to tear people down. Every word he said, every live he posted, was dissected, judged, and debated. But through it all, T.I kept his composure, reminding the world that behind the fame, behind the lights, he was still a father before anything else. The internet turned their family defense into headlines. People started saying Boosie and T.I were teaming up, that the old-school values of family and respect were finally clashing with Charleston's internet-era trolling. It wasn't about music or fame anymore. It was about what kind of men these people really were. The kind who protect what's theirs, or the kind who exploit what's not. Charleston tried to keep the momentum going, talking louder, getting more reckless. But the more he talked, the more the internet saw through it. The comments weren't cheering anymore. They were calling him out. Even people who once found him funny started saying he'd gone too far, because there's a universal truth that cuts through all cultures. You don't talk about people's kids. Boosie's silence became more powerful than Charleston's words. That calm energy carried weight, the kind that comes from someone who's learned when to speak and when to let the world talk for you. Because the truth is, sometimes you don't have to shout to be heard. Sometimes, your presence alone is enough to make people listen. As days turned to weeks, the story evolved. Clips resurfaced, interviews were replayed, reactions stacked up. Charleston still kept talking, but the tone of the internet was different now. People weren't laughing with him. They were watching him crash. Because that's the thing about playing with fire. It always burns back eventually. Meanwhile, Boosie and T.I had moved differently. They didn't go online throwing threats or starting wars. They showed what real power looks like: restraint, protection, and focus. In a world obsessed with attention, they chose respect. And that's what made their response so impactful. Because this entire situation, from Kanye's shirt to Charleston's trolling, was never really about clout. It was about the unspoken codes that still live inside hip-hop, the ones that separate real men from entertainers. It reminded everyone watching that fame doesn't erase your duty to protect your family, your name, your legacy. And the truth is, Charleston White might be protected by the system, but he's not protected from karma. Words carry energy, and when you speak on people's children, that energy always finds its way back. The internet's finally starting to see that too. This story stopped being entertainment a long time ago. It turned into a lesson about pride, about family, and about how far a man will go to defend what's his. It's not about Charleston versus Boosie anymore. It's about how we let the internet blur the line between content and consequence. Because when a man like Boosie says, "Don't talk about my kids," that's not a threat. It's a promise of boundaries. When T.I stands next to his son and says, "We stand together," that's legacy. That's what being a father looks like in a world that tries to test it. Charleston can keep talking, keep laughing, keep pretending it's all a show, but the culture's already decided where it stands. There's only one message that matters in the end: family first, always. And that's what makes this story so powerful. Not the views, not the virality, not the back and forth. It's the reminder that no matter how far the internet pushes us, real life still has rules. Some lines you just don't cross. And Charleston White crossed them all. So what do you think? Did Charleston White go too far? Or was he just exposing the fake side of hip-hop nobody wants to admit exists? Was Boosie protecting his family, or letting a troll bait him into battle? And most importantly, is this the end of their feud, or just the calm before round 2? Drop your thoughts below. I'm reading everything. And don't go anywhere. Click the next video you see on your screen for even more juicy celebrity chaos, betrayals, and stories Hollywood doesn't want you to know. See you in the next one.